Hey, I'm Dr. Marcus.
And I'm Charlie, and this is the Mood Booster podcast.
In this episode, we're reflecting on navigating male-dominated spaces as a female athlete.
This is actually our second guest episode, which is super exciting. We actually have the one and only Maria Galatzine. She is a content creator. All of her work's about fitness, movement, and inclusivity and empowerment, especially in quite male-dominated spaces, whether it's the gym or on the rugby field as well. Marcus and I thought that this isn't something that we actually have a lot of lived experience with. So we thought it would be prudent to try and get someone like Maria on to not only talk about her lived experiences, but also what she deems as important and how to navigate these sorts of spaces.
As Charlie said, we don't necessarily have the lived experience, but we know that this is a really important conversation to have, hence why we loved having Maria on. It is a much longer conversation today, but we did not want to rush through any of it, and Maria's got a lot of knowledge and lived experience to share. So we do go over some of the serious topics, sexual harassment, sexual violence, and her lived experience with that. But also, Maria does a lot to educate us and you guys, our listeners, on busting myths, on stats around, how to educate yourself as a female presenting person who wants to get into fitness, but also how to educate us as non-females on things that we could be doing to maybe support minority groups better.
Yeah, it's a fantastic episode. I've learned so much from it, and I think you guys will as well.
In this podcast, we share evidence-based advice, tools, and tips to help boost your mood, improve your well-being, and find joy in the everyday.
We talk about life's highs, lows, and everything in between with real stories and reflections from our own journeys as well.
With pillars rooted in introspection, connection, and presence, this is the home of well-being and joy.
Hello, everyone.
Buongiorno.
Welcome back to the Mood Booster podcast.
Episode 27 or 27.
We have someone here, don't we?
We do indeed.
We have someone else here.
It's super exciting. If you're on YouTube, you'll already see.
Hi
But
guys.
if you're listening, we are joined by Maria.
Welcome, Maria.
Hello.
Thank you for joining. A little bit of round of
Yay.
applause. Thanks for joining in.
Gosh, I'm so
Thank
excited,
you for joining.
guys.
I'm
It's been
so
great.
excited that you're here. How are you today?
I'm good. I feel like that first day of school when you walk in and you're like too scared to talk to anybody. I'm like sat here and I'm like, oh, I'm the new kid on the block.
You
No.
can't sit with us.
Yeah.
You can't sit here.
Okay. Well, you're here and we're super excited to have you and we're going to have a lovely episode. So for anyone that doesn't know Maria Galatzine, she is an absolute powerhouse in fitness, in representation, and in female empowerment. You do so much, which we both just want to let you introduce yourself. But if you don't know, get to know, because Maria is doing the absolute most in all the best ways. So with that little bit of hype, would you let the listener know who you are, a bit about your background and how we came to be?
Wow, what an introduction.
The
If I didn't have a
powerhouse.
big head before, I definitely have a big head now. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Maria. Otherwise, a lot of people call me Motivate. And I am a content creator, which is really weird to say out loud. But I create content all around fitness, women's wellness in particular, and basically just doing everything and trying everything. My content started off exclusively as gym workouts, like most people's fitness content did, I think. And then it slowly transitioned into lifestyle, women's wellness, finding myself, recovering from problematic eating habits, and now slowly more into just general mental wellness and my journey with grief. But yeah, I basically just want to create helpful, positive, motivating content for everybody online and give a little touch of realness as a 20-something-year-old woman in a really, really fast-paced world.
Yep.
Even in London, which is that fast-paced
Yeah,
environment, isn't it?
yeah. London is a super fast-paced environment, but I moved here at 19 by myself, and that is something that I'm still grateful for every single day, because there are so many people I know that would kill for the opportunity.
Of course, it's true.
So I'm just
Knowing what you have,
yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible.
clearly,
I think linking to the mood booster, we obviously met at Monday Mood Booster,
Yes.
the run club. We all know each other from there.
Yes.
And follow each other and keep up with what we're doing. And when Charlie and I were thinking about who do we want to get on, what do we want to do, what messages do we want to put out, we're obviously about, community, introspection, always trying to be better, always trying to learn ourselves, importantly, but help other people learn and, improve well-being. Very much exactly as you just introduced yourself, what you're doing. So it just felt perfectly aligned. But importantly for us, aligned in a way that we don't actually have experience in. We are two males. I mean, making it obvious, we are two males. So a lot of your expertise and what you help people with and educate people on is something that we don't have the lived experience to talk about, and we wouldn't feel appropriate to really be speaking about without, we need the education ourselves and to a certain degree. And we would love and had the idea to bring you on to help not only to educate us, but support our listeners, our female listeners, to feel empowered, our non-female listeners, if they're thinking, how could I maybe be better? How could I support people more? How could I maybe not feel intimidated myself? I don't know, all of the above. I know you cover all of these, and we were just really super keen to pick your brains about all of the above.
Well, I want to say a big thank you for having me on. And yeah, it's crazy to me to think that we met. I filmed a video about trying different London run clubs to help combat my social anxiety. As a solo runner, someone new to running, and a year on, I'm no longer new to running, I'm no longer a solo runner, but I met these incredible people and I've been able to follow your podcast from the little seed. So I'm super, super honored to be on it. But yeah, I would want to preface this episode by saying I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. This isn't something that I study at uni. So it's weird for me to say that it's my expertise simply because I'm not an expert in the field, but I read a lot of academic literature surrounding these statistics. I can talk from my own lived experience, which I know is not unique with certain topics. And I actually brought a book with me, but I forgot to bring it out. It's in my tote bag. But for the end, it's a book that I would really recommend for anyone with female anatomy, regardless of whether you identify or not as a woman. To read, because that is written by experts. Wow. And it's an incredible book of knowledge, and it's all backed up by science fact. Like, you have access to all the references that they use, so it's incredible. I literally just remembered that it's in my bag and I bought it specifically for this. But yeah,
wonderful. Thank you for joining. Well, yeah, as Marcus was saying, such a huge part of what we do here is about the community and finding joy in the everyday, whether that be through, cultivating our own community or just looking inwards as well. Something that we ask our guests and we always ask each other is one question that we wanted to ask you what is something that boosts your mood on the daily? What is something that boosts your mood day to day?
People.
Really?
I love people, man. Like, I love people. I love community. It's as simple as walking into a shop and the security guard smiling at you.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's as simple as that. Like, I had that when I left the gym feeling super anxious one day. I had no idea why. There's a Sainsbury's next to my gym. I walked in and the security guard smiled at me, and I immediately felt my shoulders drop and I felt less stressed. And we forget that it's okay to smile at people. It's okay to be nice. It's okay to be happy. You're not weird for doing that.
Completely agree.
You have no idea how much somebody's gonna need that in that day. And I have lived alone, but I now live with an incredible roommate or flatmate, and I absolutely adore her, and seeing her makes me really happy. Seeing my friends makes me happy. Calling my family, hearing people talk about the things that they're passionate
that's
about.
a big one. Yeah.
I love that. Like, hearing about people's passions, saying good morning. There's a guy that I see every day when I walk my dog, and he feeds this one squirrel. It's the same squirrel by Tower Bridge every single day. And that just, I look at it and I just go,
that's brilliant.
Today is going to be a good day. The squirrel's fed. Gary's fed the squirrel. He's going to have a good day. Let's go, Gary. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible.
It is.
People.
I think in a place like London, for example, you can often lose that, right?
Yeah.
And it's, not for any particular reason, well, many reasons, but not that there's one sole person to blame in a dynamic, but you just get so head down, next thing, get to work, do the things, that you just forget that there's so many people around you who are also doing the same thing, and it just becomes weirdly like, you're anonymous in this pool of so many people. So it's really nice to sort of, and you can see when you ask like a server, oh, how are you? They're kind of like, oh, no, I'm
It's
good.
like a knee-jerk reaction of surprise, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I
It's
come
lovely
from such
too.
a tight-knit community back in my city in Russia. I'm from Yekaterinburg. If anybody knows where that is, probably not, but it's okay. But I come from such a tight-knit community where everybody knows each other. Everyone knows each other's mums. Everyone knows each other's grandmas. My grandma is friends with people that she went to primary school with, which is insanely rare. Like, they meet up every single week and they go to the Philharmonic Orchestra
Wow.
every single
so
week. And
cool.
she's in her 80s.
That's insane.
So that's something that here I found really isolated from, which is, I think, why I do the outreach that I do, and why I love this, because I can go to events and I'll see the same people every single time. I'll see the same people, and I know that I'm not alone, and I know that there's people that I can catch up with, who I won't see for months, and you can catch up with them. And I think that's gorgeous. Like, I think so many people feel so stressed about maintaining friendships and everything having to be so rigid to the point where it's forced. But we're humans, guys.
Yeah.
We can be nice to each other.
We are pack animals.
We're pack animals, and we can be nice to each other.
Community and connection.
Community and connection. And
Pillar.
yeah, there we go. The pillar. Like, it's
Exactly.
that's what it is. That's what it is.
Very nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Additionally, before we get into it, what's one thing for yourself that you're working on at the moment?
Is this on a grand scale? Is this on a fitness scale? Is this on
any scale?
Any
It
scale.
can be learning to play guitar. It can be anything. And learning to sing. If it's that, I'm sorry, I've ruined the surprise. But
No, I mean, this year is going to be a big year for me because it's my third year of uni. So I want to, and I dropped out of uni originally. So it's kind of like an end of a chapter, and I'm not planning on doing a master's at the moment. So it's my undergrad, and I already feel behind. So I just want to focus on getting it done without ripping my hair out.
Yeah.
Because uni shouldn't be this big stressful thing. And I am not an all-nighter. I like my beauty sleep.
Yep.
So
same.
I want to get through this year with a good mental state, regardless of my grades, basically. Just remembering who I am and that I'm not defined by whether I get first or 2-1 or whatever.
Exactly.
That's my big thing.
Exactly. That's a huge thing. And it's so nice that you grounded it in, you get through it without it sort of being the most stressful thing, and you want to also in going into it with that mindset, it allows you to enjoy it, because it is, you'll look back and be like, that was such an enjoyable experience and that was so formative and all of those things. So to take some of that pressure away, or at least try to, and going into it with that mindset will be really, really
especially
lovely.
Since, as you said, I can admit I have so much going on outside of uni.
Yeah.
So, which I think makes it easier to enjoy it, because it's just one small part of what I do.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But I can't let that eat into all of the other things that I absolutely adore.
For sure.
Good. Balance is key.
So I think we have obviously introduced you and said about everything you're doing, but just for the listener today, just to reinforce and to make it very clear, what we are covering today is how to navigate fitness spaces, but specifically reflecting on a male-dominated industry as a female athlete, right? So we are going to, I know you said you're not an expert, but I think there's a lot to say for lived experience and expert by experience. We're going to unpack all of that from your perspective today. Hear I know you've prepared a lot of information in terms
Don't worry, I am packed with stats.
And things that, myths that should be busted, or how we could be doing better as non-females, all of those things, which we will go through. So as a listener, whether you are a male or not a female, and you're looking at maybe how you could help females feel more safe, or how you could navigate your own behavior around female athletes without feeling like you're overstepping or anything, Maria's here to cover that, but also helping you as a female athlete feel empowered and find ways to find your confidence, or to navigate those spaces where, as you say, it can be extremely intimidating. Yeah?
Yes. I'm ready.
Yeah. I want to ask about your background in sport. I know you've done a lot of different ones from my hearing about it, but how did that really start, or where did it start, and what does your journey through this like sporting world look like?
Guys, I was a baby ballerina.
Very
Okay, I
nice.
started ballet when I was like 2 years old.
Wow.
When I literally was like, when you go with your mum to baby and
This is in
mummy
Russia.
and me. Yeah,
The
and
Russian ballet.
like, oh,
Yeah.
don't
I've heard
don't
rumors.
get me started. But I've been dancing since I can remember.
Yeah.
In the UK and in Russia. My childhood with being geographically is a bit confusing, so we won't get into it. But then, so I stopped dancing when I was about 15.
Okay.
If you follow my content, you know that I've recently started talking about grief. I lost my dad when I was 15, and I got into MMA. I got into MMA partially because of grief and partially because I had an injury that ironically MMA was recommended to me as part of injury rehab, just because of the way that you use your like ligaments and stuff. It's really activating. It's great. And I kind of left dance behind because, as we all know, dance has a lot of issues, especially for young women, and ballet is notoriously known for that. And then,
sorry, just to be like such as
such as body issues, eating habits. A lot of dance teachers prioritize the aesthetic of what your body looks like as to whether you can become a dancer. So I was told from a young age that I'd probably never become a professional dancer simply based on my bone structure. And not by, big shout out to Marianne, who was my big ballet teacher in the UK. Love to her, only love to her. She's incredible. But by other people, you know, I was told that that's just not for me.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I've come to terms with the fact that unfortunately that was something I experienced as a young woman in my formative years. But we all know that that's not fact. It's the same with running, for example. You don't have to look a certain way to be a runner.
No.
And then when I went to rugby, I want to do a big shout out to Evelyn. I have no idea if she'll ever hear this, but
yes, you will.
She got she got me into rugby. She came up to me at a house party and told me to try it.
Nice.
And I tried it, and 4 years on, I am still here.
Okay.
Still hitting tackle pads, and I love it so much. And my friends know me as that rugby girl. So I love it. And I got into gym during COVID. I mean, everything's so like washed into each other now. So sport has basically, from 15, sport became an integral part of my life, an integral part of the way I regulate my feelings, the way I communicate, and the way I make friends.
Yeah.
Would it be at that point where you figured, or you started to realize it was more than, well, it was like more than a hobby, and it was more, like you say, regulation, therapy, connection, all of those things?
You know, the word hobby for me is such an interesting word because I'm the kind of person who I give 100% of myself to anything that I love. So I don't even consider myself to have hobbies.
Okay.
Because I give so much of myself to all of the things, and I hyperfixate on things as someone who has ADHD. So I guess I have hyperfixations rather than hobbies, and sport has now been a hyperfixation for, you know, nearly 10 years. But I used to post on my Snapchat private story about all of the gym stuff I was doing during COVID and about all the meals that I was eating, and I was a vegan, by the way, in COVID. And so many people told me, they were like, start an Instagram page. And right before I went to uni for the first time, I started an Instagram page. And it only really blew up when I moved to London in 2 years ago.
Okay.
I don't know what year that is, 2023?
Yeah, 23.
I was like, I don't know what year that is.
25 minus 2.
Yeah. In 2023, I started taking it seriously, and I grew from about 6K to where I am now. And it really shaped the way that it helped shape the way that I think about sport as well.
Okay.
Were there, I know you mentioned certain people who have sort of guided you to these sports. Was there a role model that you had in like a field to sort of guide you through these things?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there are so many incredible women that I look up to,
Okay.
that I've had the privilege of meeting. And role models for me, you know, we always think of role models as like crazy, unattainable or inaccessible celebrities.
Yeah.
So incredible people that come to mind for me are Ali Joe, who's a Gymshark athlete, Sydney Cassidy, who's a Gymshark athlete,
Yeah.
Lucy Davis, Queen of High Rocks.
Yeah.
They're all, and nearly every single England rugby player,
Yeah.
every single female rugby player in the Rugby World Cup right now. I mean, Ilona Mayer, for example, look at her, like she's redefining everything for women in sport. And I'm sure you'll hear me talk about her again at some point in this conversation, but Beauty Brains Beast,
Yeah.
like her catchphrase is redefining everything,
Yeah.
redefined everything for me. But also, I want to give a big shout out to Charlie, who.
No,
Sorry. Her Instagram handle is Fit with Charles. She's known as that handstand girl. She used to be a PT at my first ever gym.
Okay.
And now we train at the same gym in London, and we're both content creators, and we've created content together.
Nice.
And
It's amazing.
she, I think, is absolutely incredible. And I look at every single female content creator and non-male content creator, but I have a lot of male role models as well. And I just look at them and I go, oh, you guys are incredible. Just people are incredible, guys. People are incredible.
So I love what you said there quickly about the role models, that it doesn't have to be this unattainable thing or this like sort of this like pedestal person, because we've spoken about this previously, where if it is, then those expectations, if they're unmet, there's a whole host of issues. But if you see it as someone to sort of, you know, gauge some inspiration from, it allows you to step into that sort of pathway a lot easier as well. So it's brilliant that you found that.
I have that connection. Like in our episode, we on role models, was like a role model doesn't have to be, like you say, this person up here. A role model can and should be my peer. Like I'm inspired by them as they're inspired by me. And that is, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's so cool. On role models, I don't know if they were influential in this decision or what. I know you said people from your Snapchat were saying things, but what. I know you've touched on what got you into the sports side of things and the grief, and also thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry that you went through that. I know we're not going to speak loads on that today, and it might come through, but obviously that's a huge thing. In terms of the content side of things and sort of feeling empowered or feeling, what's the word? The drive to inspire and help other people through your content. I guess where did that come into the picture, and where I know, like you say, people on Snapchat were encouraging you. Where did that sort of hunger or that drive come
Every
from?
time you say Snapchat, I cringe a little bit inside.
Honestly,
just because I don't even have Snapchat anymore.
What's
But
your
I can't believe that it used to be such an integral part. Like I cried when I lost a 500 and something day snap streak. Like I cried. It was such a
streaks are impressive. Let me tell you,
my Duolingo streak has something to say to you, Marcus.
Oh, really? What is it?
But it's like in the 500s now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which language?
Well, I studied 3 languages on Duolingo. Damn. Mandarin, Ukrainian, and French.
That's so cool.
How?
More Charlie. Yeah. Sorry. I learned a bit. That's really cool.
Content side of things.
Yeah, I was like, you have to remind me what the question
where the bridge went from this is what I'm doing because it's my passion, is helping me through grief and my community and all of these things, into more of a I'm getting something. Also, I wanted to help other people through this content side of creating content around what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think for me it was just being honest online and posting real. I realized very soon that actually filming myself and filming like back and biceps day made me hate the gym. Really? So that was one of the reasons I stopped filming those kinds of videos, because I was like, I'm not enjoying this anymore and this is stressing me out. And so I changed my content and I started running. I started running in January last year to raise money for a charity that helped me with something that I experienced. And I decided to film that, and I found a lot of people reacting positively. But something that really drove me to keep posting was someone that I really, really cared about and looked up to. He was a very, very important person in my life. He was my ex I used to live with in Australia. he told me that he thought my content was embarrassing. And he thought that introducing me or saying that I did content to his friends was embarrassing and it was stupid. And it was very upsetting to hear that. So when I lived with him in Australia, I basically nearly completely stopped posting. And then when I moved back to London, we had a rugby social and this girl came up to me, one of the new girls on my rugby team, and she was pissed out of her mind. She came up to me, she was like, "You didn't tell us you were an influencer." And suddenly everybody knew. And I was mortified. And I got nothing but positive love and support from them.
As you should.
Unreal.
And then I slowly, started sharing things. I started my run club series, and some of my best friends from run clubs that I've gone to have told me that they found those run clubs through me.
Yeah.
And so they found these communities, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to help connect people with other people. And I said, and we were yapping before we started the proper recorded yap, that a lot of people have reached out to me about grief since I've started posting my grief content. And I just want to remind people that we're all living for the first time.
Yeah.
You don't have to be aesthetic. Life is not aesthetic. And you're okay for that. And you have a voice. You matter. I mean, we all know September is also Suicide Prevention Month. And you're heard. You're seen. You're not alone.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Hugely.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Sorry that you went through that, but I'm
Yeah,
also for that
terrible.
guy, because I'm sure he's wherever he is, it doesn't matter. But look at where you are now. What a loss. But your gain for sure. You're doing amazingly, and I'm so glad that you managed to get rid of that in some capacity, and now you're shining. No,
there's
but
no hate.
still,
We all grow and learn.
We're all learning.
Ways.
Each experience we go through, good or
You're
bad,
shining.
It sort of carves us into the person we are now.
Exactly.
And that'll continue to be it, and it's how we look back at it. It's
Exactly.
what makes us who we are. So that's great that you can look at it in that lens as well. It is.
I think we'll get into specifically some of the issues that we come on to. And you, again, because this is something that we don't experience, we wanted to very much carve this episode with Maria. It wasn't something that we're just like, oh, we're going to ask you a load of random questions. It's Maria that needs to let us know what's important to cover as well. And one of which was obviously just really putting it plainly and letting people know the actual challenges and barriers that one would experience in a male-dominated space, because that's something that one might take for granted that people aren't even privy to or aware of in the first instance. So how can we necessarily know what to address or how to address something if we don't know what we're addressing? Right. So what does approaching the gym okay, let's put it plainly. What does harassment in a gym space look like as a non-male?
I think there are the obvious things to point out where people, not just female athletes, people have experienced physical assault, sexual assault, verbal sexual assault in fitness spaces that can look like there's plenty of CCTV footage out there about people being pinned up in empty gyms, 24-hour gyms. Natalie B Fitness is a really big female content creator. I'm sure you guys have heard of her. She just opened her first only women's gym. And aside, putting all of the controversy, or putting all of the controversy aside, it is rooted in a deeply traumatic assault that she faced at 19 in a gym space. That is where it all rooted from. She's spoken about it. She's written articles about it. So that is something that I want to, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Highlight?
Pick up. Highlight from her as a creator, regardless of how you might feel about her. It doesn't invalidate that she experienced something deeply traumatic at such a young age in a space that she shouldn't have experienced.
For sure.
People also, there's a whole trend on TikTok. I mean, it's got millions of views using the hashtag creep, which is a really upsetting hashtag because it flips the narrative in a completely wrong direction. But people don't understand the significance of prolonged staring that and unwanted attention, and how that can impact you mentally,
Mm.
because people think, oh, if I catcall someone, it's a compliment. I'm just looking, it's not harmful. And it's obviously very difficult to police that. But let me tell you firsthand that it can be very harmful. And I think you have to look in on yourself and you have to think, have I been stared at before? Has it made me feel uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
Because for most people wouldn't even consider standing there and staring at someone,
Right.
you know, and your body language makes a big difference. So it's just a, you know, food for thought for a moment of self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that all staring is harmful. You know, it's just from my experience, it can be really intimidating, even if that's not the intention behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
A statistic for you is a survey of 1,000 UK gym goers. This is not gendered. This is mixed bag of people identifying all across the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Of those 1,000 UK gym goers, 51.8% have either witnessed or experienced gym harassment firsthand.
Okay.
So
Wow.
over half. So that's over 500 people out of 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that is a small sample size if you look at the scale of gyms across the UK.
Mm-hmm.
But I think even that speaks, and to the fact that that's not only women
Mm-hmm.
saying I've experienced it, that's men. I don't even think gender was taken into account here.
Yeah.
That's an upsetting statistic.
Yeah.
On that, I want to ask questions that sort
Yes.
of a cynic is going to ask listening to
of
this
course.
episode, and to be able to sort of help give explanation to some of their doubts or some
Yeah.
of their cynical questions. To that, I might say, and I don't need to preface that. I might say, okay, that's all genders. So why are we here talking about the women being harassed when all genders in that study? Is there that might sound like a really annoying question to hear, but no doubt things that you are met with. Is there any overt? I mean, we know the overt things, but
Yeah.
it's down to even microaggressions and those sorts of things,
Yeah,
right?
I think that's a good word, microaggressions. Look, we have to be realistic here. And even the people that are cynical and that say that this isn't an issue, everybody is aware of it. There have been countless number of studies. The statistics speak for themselves.
Mhm.
Outside of the fitness space, we all know. We all read the articles that came out that said 97% of women in the UK have been essayed or harassed. This isn't new.
No.
This isn't new. And it comes down to microaggressions. It comes down to walking down the street and being able to lose count of the amount of people that openly will stare at you and jeer at you, and to have that in a concentrated fitness space is scary, and it's magnified.
Mm-hmm.
And what I will say is that me talking about this openly, other women, other creators, other people having these conversations, this is not an attack on anybody.
Mm-mm.
This is people talking about people's experiences, the same way that I would openly and gladly listen to my male peers and counterparts talk about and support them through any negative experiences that they have with being harassed or assaulted by anybody, regardless of gender, because, you know, it's valid.
Mm-hmm.
And feeling uncomfortable is valid.
Yeah.
And it's not your fault. So it's about understanding how, by dismissing people's lived experiences, you're minimizing harm and you're closing off your mind. So what I say I have spoken about my extreme experiences, which I won't touch on here just because I haven't really been that open about it on my social media yet.
Yeah.
But I've always said to men specifically, if you don't think that's a problem, okay, let's start at the beginning of that. What if it's your mum coming home crying? Because the majority of women who run in the UK are actually between the ages of 40 to 50.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
which is really surprising.
That is, yeah.
I think now with Instagram and TikTok and everything coming up, I think that there's obviously more and more young people coming in. Not that 40 isn't young, but a lot of women get into running to help with postpartum, to help with menopause. Oh my gosh, I forgot the word. I was like, to help with menopause, premenopause, postmenopause. So a lot of women who run are, let's say, above 30. And what if that's your mum coming home crying because she got catcalled on the street? What if that's your 12-year-old daughter coming home saying that someone said something about her sport in netball being a certain way or making them feel a certain way? I always preface this by saying, like, think about the people that are important to you in your life. Forget about the strangers. You don't know me. That's okay. You don't need to care about my experiences. You don't need to even believe me. In a world full of people making false allegations, which are harmful both to the people who are actual victims and to trying to maliciously ruin other people's lives, I understand why there's caution. Think about the women and non-males in your life and ask them how they feel and what they've experienced. Because we only care about things when it happens to the people that we care.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true. It's sad that it needs that level of empathy to happen, but for those people who, as you've said, both of you, who, you know, might hear this and say, what happens if this isn't a big issue? The best point is just think of that.
And sometimes I do say that often the people who don't think it's a big issue are the people who are creating this themselves. Yeah. And that applies to any movement.
Yeah. And I think it takes, like you said, no one's attacking you as a person or like males as a person, or, you know, if we're talking about, you know, racism, well, no one's attacking me as a white male as in this instance. But we're having a conversation about someone's lived valid experience. And if that is, which very much all and every study supports, that majority of women have been harassed, if not sexually assaulted, by a male perpetrator, then that is a lived experience that we cannot deny. And let's talk about it, let's understand it, and let's see how we can support at a basic level.
Yeah, the phrase "not all men" comes to mind because when the Me Too movement was very prevalent and when the 97% statistic came out, not all men was trending on social media. And I agree, not all men. It's true. Not all men. It's a minority attacking a majority. But then you need to ask yourself, okay, you're not one of those men. What are you doing to protect the women in your life from that? Because that one person sends shockwaves through a community.
I do have something to raise at that. Not all men for sure. But I want to come back to microaggressions because if we're putting labels to things, if we're saying a patriarchal system, for example, if we're raised and we're agreeing that is the system in which we're in, not all men are overtly harassing women or catcalling them. But potentially some of the men that would more likely listen to this podcast wouldn't necessarily do that. I can't say, but wouldn't necessarily do that, and would be here listening. Okay, well, I already know I'm not going to catcall someone, or I already know I'm not going to, you know, assault someone in the gym. I have no doubt. I'm keen to hear what are more of the sort of micro level things that otherwise intentionally, that's really poor English, but you get where I'm going, with very innocent intentions that you experience as a female in the fitness space. So are there some examples of things that happen that you think are, okay, that's just a slightly ignorant comment, or that's just something that's coming from seeing me as a woman as opposed to
I think this might be the way that because of the way that I see the world, I try and look at everything positive. So I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, I tend to just wipe away a lot of things, and I tend to underpin it with, it was probably not meant to sound this way. So I'm not going to take it to heart, but that's the way that I am. I'm not saying that's the right way to deal with it. but sometimes it gives you peace to not focus on everything, although I know that that's not possible for everybody. I think one of the biggest things that we need to flip the narrative on is about what women wear in fitness.
Okay.
That is one of the biggest things, because that is something that I get on my social media, or I used to get a lot on my social media, was comments about the way that I dress, and the fact that I dress a certain way means that I am making myself a target, or that gives somebody a reason or an excuse to behave in the way that they behave.
It's victim blaming, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's also, if you don't have a problem with a man running in the park shirtless, you shouldn't have a problem with a sports bar.
No.
You shouldn't have a problem with shorts. You know, we see competitions like High Rocks.
Yeah.
We see competitions all over the world in the fitness space where we don't have an issue with men being bare-chested. Obviously, I understand that anatomically we are different, but the issue, if you have an issue with a woman wearing a sports bra, that's a ish you, not an ish me.
I love that.
I can't coin that. Unfortunately, that's my best friend's
That's brilliant.
catchphrase.
That's an issue.
But it's an issue. It's not an
Yeah.
ish me, because that's proof that you can't see me as anything other than a sexual being.
Yeah.
And you look at, it really saddens me to know that women who participate in the Olympics, in sprinting, in volleyball, in the way that those uniforms are designed, have had to spend so much time protesting and trying to make change simply because they have been made to feel sexualized and uncomfortable in what they have to wear. When what we should all be focusing on is how rapid these women are,
Yeah.
and how insanely good they are at the
How
sports that
strong
they
they
do,
are,
how
how
strong that they
fantastic
do.
they are.
I
Yeah.
mean, I had that with ballet. I never realized that silly little 11-year-old me in a leotard and ballet shoes could be attractive to somebody.
Yeah.
But apparently it is. And it's this, I've been harassed walking home from rugby in rugby shorts with rugby boots strapped to my bag. And what am I supposed to wear?
If not rugby uniform.
If not
yeah.
rugby uniform.
Yeah.
You know, people will always find, people, we know this about life in general, people will always have an issue with you. People will find an issue with everything. But the biggest thing that people need to stop commenting on is, or using as a foundation to excuse their behavior, is what people are wearing. Because
appearance in general, right? But also what they're wearing, or
Mhm.
more what they're wearing, or appearance as well. In
well,
general.
appearance as well, but also just what they're wearing.
Okay.
Because like for anyone that's listening, but especially women who don't feel like they belong in the fitness space because of body issues, which is, there's a statistic on this that shows that body issues is one of the primary things that stops women from working out in fitness spaces, because they feel like they don't belong there because they don't look the way that they associate gym with, which is really sad.
Just on that, you're going to send us your references, aren't you?
Yes.
So they'll be in the episode
course.
bio, so we'll have all of these for you to read
Of course.
into.
I'm not making any of
Yeah.
it up, I promise. What was I saying?
But yeah, statistic that women, one of the biggest barriers is what
Yeah,
how
you
they-
don't need to look a certain way to be in fitness, guys, and you do not need to look a certain way to wear what you're comfortable in. If you want to wear a sports bra and you want to wear shorts because that's what you feel best in, do it.
Yeah, hugely important. And I don't know that I've only ever felt comfortable in my own clothes as sort of someone who used to be larger, and not that there's anything wrong with that. I just wasn't confident in my own body. I was always picking up my clothes and all of those things. And it was part of why I struggled to start running to begin with. But I should imagine when your whole body, your whole image is centered around what you're wearing, as okay, how much can I see your boobs or not see your boobs,
Yeah,
or
right.
your breasts or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a whole different story. So I definitely can't relate. But I did want to come back to, and I know you said that the experience, it's not intentional, those things, so you kind of don't take it, and you don't take it in and internalize it. But I do wonder whether it's intentional or not. figure we could always be trying to do things that are better. That, you know,
100%.
I'm speaking really badly at the moment, my English, but like, great for a podcast. But what I'm trying to say is, subconsciously, we're always doing things that we don't realize could have an impact on
Yeah.
someone. And yes, that person might not internalize that, and they might be like, they didn't mean that. That's okay. And it's good to hear that you give people that grace. I wondered whether there are some not basic, but some clear, definitive examples of where that has happened, not necessarily to you or to peers, where people have just so unknowingly, through an innocent means, just completely sort of diminished your presence in the gym or your abilities because of your gender. Whether it's like being like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to give examples because...
Okay, a comment that really stuck with me was when I told a friend of mine that I was training for a half marathon, and he said, "Oh, that's really cool. I'm just kind of surprised because your body's obviously not built for that kind of distance."
Jesus.
And I was like, "Oh, we're not friends anymore, babe." And it really upset me. And he also just didn't understand. He was like, "No, that's a compliment because it's showing that, you know, you're really motivated to do something that obviously isn't natural to you." And I was like, "Oh, I don't have the energy to educate you on this topic."
Yeah.
So I chose to walk away.
Mm.
I've had conversations like this where it's like, it's infuriating. Or, I mean, I've had conversations with my own grandma told me to leave the marathon running to the men because I hate to say she's from that generation.
Mm.
The woman's old and the woman's a Soviet. So like,
she's definitely not going to turn
she's
like that.
old.
Yeah.
But it goes to show that, you know, this kind of backlash comes from all sides.
Mm.
And I think we need to move away from this narrative of in sport, there are no male sports, there are no female sports. And in terms of harassment, check yourself, because this might piss some people off, but it's not my responsibility to tell you that you're making somebody uncomfortable. You should be aware of yourself.
Mm.
And you should be up to date with what's going on around you, the same way that I would say that about any other topic, the same way that it's not a Black person's responsibility to, obviously racism is its own standalone thing. I don't want to compare any experiences, but it's not their experience. It's not their responsibility to tell you that you're being racist as fuck. It's not my responsibility to tell you and educate you that you saying, "Damn, look at the legs on her," is not a compliment. With the fitness space, luckily, a lot of us see our bodies in a very different way. Athletes, I think, and that goes to people who don't necessarily consider themselves as athletes, goes to the conversation of, I don't really see my body in terms of aesthetics. So if somebody tells me that I have really strong looking legs, I take that as a compliment and I don't think anything of it because I have really strong legs. But I know that for someone that might send them into a spiral and go, "Oh, people are looking at my legs. That's really scary." And so it's hard because sometimes things that used to be microaggressions for me have now moved away from that. And I've understood people's mannerisms, but it takes time and it's fluid. And it's really hard outside of, you know, the definitive, outside the definitive specific comments to pinpoint a narrative, because you can't please everything, and that's okay. And people are learning, and unfortunately there is a generational difference. There is generational change. The way that we see our bodies, the way that we see sport is constantly changing. I mean, social media is putting 2x speed on everything, right? The way that we develop. I mean, you can tell me from like a psychological perspective and all of this, how social media has impacted us. And so there is, you know, you see these videos online of girls filming and they zoom in on a guy who just, I don't know, maybe glances at them and uses the hashtag gym creep. And it's stuff like that that's really damaging, because a lot of these people unfortunately do it for clout. They do it for views, and it creates this narrative where guys now feel defensive and they're like, well, I can't even look at somebody because someone's standing in front of you you're probably going to look at them. Someone's got a tripod out. You're probably going to look at them. That doesn't necessarily mean that everything in your head is the internal narrative is,
Yeah.
Haas,
All the intention, yeah.
girl,
Yeah.
I need to attack someone. Like that's not
No, of
that's
course.
not the intention. You know, it's
Mm.
not that. It's not that dramatic. I've
Yeah.
always had the mindset of people who are out there intending to hurt people are out there intending to hurt people from the start.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that is why it's a minority. And those are often the people that put their walls up and say, well, I haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
And I have to stop myself because every single time somebody catcalls me or jeers at me or makes me feel uncomfortable, I want to have a screaming match with them.
Yeah.
I want to.
Do you have any specific examples of these times that you're happy to
Oh,
share?
man. I mean, just 2 days ago, I was out. This is not in a fitness space, but I have ones in fitness spaces as well that I will share with you. I was out just walking with my housemate, and this guy rides past me on a bike and whispers something in my ear. And my housemate like shouts and she says, ew, that was gross. And we just keep walking. For me, and for a lot of women that I know, and this goes back to what you say to someone who thinks that this isn't an issue, that's fine. But nearly every single woman that I know will have experienced this, and not on a one-off basis. This is something I experience, like, it's sad to admit, but if I'm out and about, nearly on a regular basis. And it's really upsetting. I'm just stubborn. So I go outside. I wear whatever the fuck I want. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
As you
I'm
should have the ability to.
I'm just
As you
stubborn.
should have the
Yeah.
But
ability
why
to,
should you be stubborn for doing that? Like, that
Because
should just be a normal.
because
No,
a lot of yeah. But like a lot of cynics will reply to that and say, "Well, what were you wearing?"
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're dressed like that, that's going to happen to you.
Mm.
And you take that into a fitness space, and it's like, well, what am I supposed to wear?
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel comfortable running in leggings.
Mm.
I don't feel comfortable running in baggy cargo pants that don't show, that just so happen to not show my, my figure. I don't feel comfortable in that. I'm not going to perform at my best, so I'm not going to wear that. My big freak experience from running, for example, was earlier this year in the summer. I used to live in Camden, so I used to run along the canal a lot. And obviously, as it gets brighter, as it gets warmer, people are out at the pub. And I was running just on like a Saturday, and I ran past these guys, and they whistled at me and made me feel uncomfortable. I just kept running. I usually subconsciously turn my music up to max when I run past big groups of guys. So that way I can't even hear. Even if they don't say anything, I just can't hear it. And I brushed it off. And then I got to my like halfway point, and I did my little awkward stop, turn around, run back to where I came from.
Yeah.
And I saw the same guys, they're standing there with their pints in their hand, and they physically block my path. They physically block my path, and I just look at the floor, and I have to push my way past them and keep running. And what hurt is that nobody around said anything. They think it's funny because I can hear them laughing. Yet I feel so vulnerable. And yeah, you can argue. There will be people there that will argue and say, well, they didn't really do anything. Canal's a public space.
They for sure did do a lot of things.
But what they did do is show that they're strong, show that they're there, show that if they wanted to, they could. And what's worse is they found it funny.
It's the power imbalance. It's
a power imbalance. And that goes to why, in the gym community, I'm sure you guys know that there's the gentle giants, which are often the biggest, scariest guys in the gym, are the nicest people. And I know this. I know a lot of absolutely humongous people, and I look at them and I'm like, scary, but then they're like, ooh, candy floss, and I'm like, you're actually really sweet. Yeah. Literally, they're like, ooh, pink. Butterfly. But that's not up to them. They don't need to change the way that they look. Oh my gosh, have muscles. Do your thing, though. but remember that it is scary. And there's so many videos online of women lifting heavy weights, and one of their motivations for it is because they have been previously assaulted or abused, and they want to be strong enough to protect themselves from that in the future.
Yep.
And I can put my hand up and say that that is one of my motivations. It used to be one of my biggest motivations, was being able to know that if what happened to me again, at least this time I have more of a fighting chance to protect myself. I have spoken about this on social media. I was assaulted and I ended up in hospital because of it. And it, rightly so, I mean, absolutely floored me. And it took me months to get back into the gym space. And it was one of my guy friends, who is one of these gentle giants, who coached me back into the gym space, coached me back into not being scared to be there, and reminding myself that not everybody is that kind of person. But it is really scary. And if you have experienced it, you stop. I mean, it's trauma. It's trauma. Your body holds the score as well. It's trauma. We all know that fight or flight is a thing. But that trickles down, a dominoes effects to, you don't even need to experience that kind of trauma to carry it with you. So a lot of women read and listen to these podcasts and listen to reels and see reels on TikTok or on Instagram and TikToks and stuff, where they see women who've been assaulted or harassed in the gym, and they go, well, I'm not putting myself in that scenario because I'm scared. So they just stopped. You know, it's like, that's why I don't know, I can't remember if I said this before, but the statistic is that out of this survey of women who have experienced gym harassment, 25% just completely stopped using gyms or switched gyms as a result of that.
And then when you look at the statistic of how many women experience harassment, it's
25% suddenly isn't even that small.
No.
You know, and the same way that University of Manchester, they did a study in Northern England, and they showed that over 2/3 of women experienced some sort of harassment while running. So, and I don't have a comparison statistic for the south of England, so I'm not going to say that that's deep rooted in any issues. If you're interested in reading the study, you can. But it's really sad. And I remember being cornered in my gym when I started being in the gym when I was, 16, 17, and being really scared. And I remember having a PT session, and to this person, this was probably just a passing comment and they didn't think anything of it. But as a 16-year-old girl, I was I find it so like silly to look at, but I was on the like lying curl machine.
On the hamstring curl
On
machine.
on the lying hamstring curl machine. Let me preface this by, I've never used a lying curl machine since I was 16 for the and this is the only reason. The PT who was PTing me, which is a man in his mid-30s, made a comment about how everybody in the gym would find it difficult to not look at my bum when I was on that machine.
You were 16.
And I was 16 or 17. And I was with another girl. I was with a friend of mine because we were splitting the cost of a PT session. And I remember getting off and I just laughed. I was like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And I was like, I'm never using this machine in my life again. And I'm now 22. So, you do the math, it's been 6 years, and I still look at that machine with absolute disgust and disdain.
Yeah. I'm really sorry that happened.
It's awful.
Yeah. And yeah, that's something that's rightfully so, and is extremely valid to you, has impacted your use of the gym for this many years here forward. Unfortunately, that might be something that guy doesn't even remember ever happening, and shows the sort of what we're trying to get to is the impact of what we do and don't do as non-females and our behavior towards females is huge and lasting, and something that we might pass and it's difficult because you say like you can't police everyone, and some
Yeah.
things are like the intention might be a joke and someone else, I don't know, like
Yeah.
it's difficult, but so then people feel like I can't say anything, and
Yeah.
obviously that should never have been said. But something that someone might think as a male,
Or
oh, I was just
compliment.
joking, oh, I was just
Yeah.
complimenting, isn't the case, and it's
Yeah.
on us to realize or try and figure out when and how and what's appropriate and what isn't, because
Yeah.
that should never have.
I think
been-
it's a lot to do with self-reflection. And like I said, think about the people that you care about.
Mm,
So for anyone that might hear that comment and think, isn't that serious, was it? Imagine as a father, I didn't have a father to go home to cry about of that. So I didn't have a male role model. I think that's another thing, is whether or not you have healthy or just bottom line existing relationships with male figures in your life makes massive difference for this, because that can be the difference between being validated and being invalidated by someone that you really care about. It's one thing for a stranger to tell me that, wow, this doesn't exist. It would be a completely different thing for my dad or for my uncle to turn around and say, well, what were you wearing? Like, that's different. I know that my dad would have never said something. Oopsies. My dad would have never said something like that to me. But I didn't, in those years where I started to experience that kind of stuff, I didn't have a dad. I remember telling him when I was about 13 that this guy followed me home from school, and he immediately called the police. But in this fitness space, in this space that I'm in now, I don't have that. So I didn't have anyone to go home to and say, this guy said this, and I don't know if that's okay. But imagine that was your 16, 17-year-old daughter coming home from a gym that everyone from your school goes to, because it's your school gym, and a PT, somebody who's in a position of power, and as a minor, someone who is in a position of safeguarding, says that.
That's vastly inappropriate.
I've
to say the
had that
least.
in the workplace, and I went and I reported it to my boss, and he bollocked the shit out of he called a big meeting. I was an assistant instructor, so there was a whole power dynamic. A comment was made about me. I wasn't even there when the comment was made, but somebody decided to come and tell me about it. And I told him, because I refused to go into work the next day, because I was like, I can't go in. I can't do
As
it.
me, yeah.
I don't feel comfortable. I don't even know who said it. And I went in and I told my boss, and this was in a sports environment. I'm a water sports instructor. I used to teach water sports. And I went and I told my boss, and it's weird to say that I'm so grateful to him, because this should just be
The
bottom
norm.
line.
Yeah.
But he was almost like a father figure to me. And he just called a big meeting of all of the instructors. At the time, there was only one female instructor.
Yeah.
So he called a big meeting of 25 instructors or whatever, and just bollocked everybody and said, this isn't appropriate at all. And the next person I hear of saying something like this at the pub over a cheeky pint, doesn't matter. It's not at work, right?
Yep.
But it's at the pub having a cheeky pint. You're going to get fired. And that stuck with me, because I was like, okay, I feel protected. I feel listened to. But there's so many times when women go and they report things to gym staff, where nothing happens, you know, and it's like, well,
But this is
something should happen.
This is something I really want to stick to and was going to come to, and stick with me on this point, because it'll be a tangent. But
Yes.
you say joking in the pub. That is where I believe a lot of this starts. Is like lots of unobserved, we don't realize that those sorts of jokes perpetuate all of these issues. Oh, I'm just joking with friends. I'm just in the pub. Your boss saying that that's unacceptable is amazing, but that is seldom the case amongst the male population, unfortunately, speaking from first-hand experience. That is to call out, oh, you can't just object, you can't just do that to this person, like this is not necessarily acceptable. How you're saying, oh, look at her legs, they're this and that amongst a group of friends, it's a much more why I came back to like the microaggressions. It's a systemic issue.
Mhm.
And coming on to the advice, I think we can go over, and really keen to hear what sort of tangible advice you have, not only for women themselves, but
Yeah.
also non-males. But
Yeah.
I think on a larger scale, and I remember when we was, again, not to compare because then incomparable, but when we were speaking about, the BLM movement and everything,
Yes.
everything that was being said it's systemic. It's so
Yeah.
deeply rooted and systemic. It's if we're raised in a society, and I'm gonna be on a soapbox here, and please feel free to interject as the female in the room, but if we're raised in a society where women are seen as other, they're seen as the what is not the male, who
Yeah.
is the gold standard. If we're raised like that, you cry in a playground. I say this in most episodes: don't be like a girl, don't cry, don't be weak. Weakness is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Women are sexual objects, for example.
Yes.
From that, it's just it's just a joke in the pub.
Yeah.
Those things that, so then males don't feel like they can necessarily call it out, or it's
Mhm.
sort of, it enables those more aggressive, more sinister behaviors, because we live in a society, potentially, well, I think anyway, that enables those more aggressive behaviors.
And
So
it teaches young boys that it's okay,
yeah.
because in that workplace, out of the assistant instructors, us girls were never invited to the pub. But you know who was?
Mm,
The boys.
mm.
The young 15, 16-year-old boys. As 16, 17-year-old girls, we weren't invited until
Boys club.
it was the boys' club. I mean,
Mm.
this is sailing, so sailing is...
You sail as well.
yeah, I
Cool.
was a sailing instructor. I haven't sailed in a few years now,
Mm.
but I did get invited to the pub. Yay, whatever. At what cost though? And
Mm.
I took it upon myself. I put myself in a position of leadership to make sure that all of the girls that worked as assistant instructors could come to me, and I would be vocal about it. That's the moment I stopped being scared
When you could
about
protect them.
addressing this issue and calling people out. So
Why
I
not
had
for
to take that
others?
on at 16, 17. Yeah, for others, to protect others, because I said, okay, I'm not dealing with this. Because one girl said that behind closed doors, one of the boys made a move on her. Something happened. She never came back.
Mm.
We don't know what happened, and they both might have different perspectives, whatever. But the point is, she never came back, and she didn't even feel safe enough to talk about it.
Mm.
So it's really upsetting, and I remember absolutely bollocking one of the boys who was my friend about his attitude to women and his attitude to girls, and what he thought was acceptable and what he thought was unacceptable, and saying, you're wrong on every single account. And because when you're young, and I don't just mean when you're a teenager, I mean when you're in your 20s, when you're in your 30s, you're always susceptible to opinions, and your opinions being changed, and the way that you think that you're behaving, if that's the way everyone is behaving, you think that that's probably the right way to behave, because everybody's doing it. So you go to the pub and you hear these things and you're like, oh, well, I mean, they're making jokes. They're pointing out that she's fit. And the same thing goes to girls. I mean, I say this to girls, or that, like, it is kind of a double standard that we as girls, can in a way objectify men as well. I call myself out on that behavior as well. It goes two ways. But a lot of girls excuse that behavior because we're like, well, that's been happening to us all our lives.
Also
So-
power imbalance as
So
well.
it's like, why can't we do that? You
Yeah.
guys, like, I say you guys, obviously not you
No,
two, but
yeah.
like, it's like,
yeah.
we've been told all our lives that that's not a problem. Why is it suddenly a problem when we do it? And it's a power imbalance, and it goes down to that systemic. I mean, it should be, if it's not already, it should be common news that there is, in many, many countries in the world, an epidemic of femicide. The statistics every year going up about violence against women. Australia is having one of their biggest epidemics of gender-motivated crime.
Okay.
So this is obviously a complete tangent of what we're talking about, the concentrated
all links
fitness
in,
space, but it
yeah.
all links in, because if you're in a community
gyms are supposed to be a safe space for everyone. Fitness is supposed to be a safe space for everyone. And if suddenly that's being fostered by, there are run clubs in London, I'm sure you both are aware of, that are seen as like the dating run clubs, that are seen as like, that's where you go if you want to be around fit people. That should not be, I mean, it's fine, it's a joke. If everyone who's going there is aware of that and is consenting to that, fine.
Yeah.
But that then fosters a narrative of like, oh, well, I don't think that I'm attractive, or people telling you that you're not attractive enough to be there. And it's like, well, that's not what sports about. It's
multi-systemic, and it has, yes, we're speaking about the fitness spaces here, but it's, like we say, rooted in something that's so much bigger. So the context is important. And I think for a lot of us males or non-females, how we can, I think, and tell me how I believe I could help females more in a fitness space comes outside of the fitness space, and what I do outside of the fitness space, and 100%. How I view or don't view women or non-males outside of the fitness space, and it's actually reshaping just my views in general about gender and who women are to me in society in general, because then that will just naturally shape how I do or don't treat them in this space and any other space.
I have something to say on this.
Please do.
I blame dating apps for a lot of things.
Yes.
I am not on dating apps.
Never touch them, never will.
I purge them.
Yep.
I went through my stint. You know, I was 18 and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm finally old enough to be on this thing. And I got on and I was like, oh, this is gross and terrifying, and social media and dating apps are a big problem as to why we are struggling to move away from seeing people as anything more than objects for dating, for sex, for all of this. Like we're aware that, right, we use more of our, this is so silly because I actually got this from a movie, so you can tell me if this is backed by science, that we use more of our like cerebral cortex than other animals, right? That's why we're like able to think in ways other than food, sleep, reproduce.
Higher order thinking,
yeah, there we go, right? So, but somehow we play all of happily play and blindly play into all of these behaviors like dating apps where we can meet people quickly, where suddenly we swipe left and right however many times a day on you're fit, you're not fit, you're fit, you're not fit, you're...
What that does to propagate any sort of like...
I feel like then you can't look at anything else, because then you find yourself walking down the street and you go, fit, not fit, fit, not fit, fit, not fit. I will only talk to attractive people. I will only talk like that. Yeah. I feel like that's how people think. Like because I actually don't even like, most of the time I just look at people and I'm like, well, you're a person and you're standing in front of me. And there will be people that are cynical and be like, bullshit. But yeah, for most of the time, like when I go to events and stuff, I am not thinking about dating. I'm not thinking about
how they look.
I'm not thinking, oh, I can only be friends with people who are attractive. Like I can only give you the time of day if I think that you're attractive. Yeah. How pathetic is that? Not being able to have a conversation with someone because you don't think that they're attractive. Like that's really upsetting. And then when you remove that narrative, you actually like remove the whole idea of attractiveness from your head. Like I say this to people, like
it's the halo effect, which is really unfortunate, which is the psychological theory of attractive people get more attention, they get people liking them more, their opinions are validated more because, and there's literal empirical evidence, and I teach it to my students in the context of forensic psychology. Jurors are more favorable to people who are attractive, and it expands all of these different areas. People who are attractive statistically do far better in life because people give them more opportunities, they take them on more, they do all of these things.
Our systems are built around it.
I mean, someone has said this to me, that they've asked me about pretty privilege, what it must feel like. So guys, I have no idea what I look like. Like I say this from a body dysmorphia point of view, I say this from someone who can't see very well anyway.
The mirror's just puzzling.
Obviously that's a joke, but like I actually have no idea what I look like, and I really don't care. Like obviously I care about looking nice, but I care about looking nice for myself.
There's a reason there's no mirrors in nature.
Yeah.
But apart from like a water reflection, maybe, but we're not meant to be
And we
looking
have,
at ourselves.
and we suddenly have this like massive,
Yeah.
and the moment I like kind of removed myself from that, I felt like such a positive effect on the people around me.
Completely.
But yeah, I feel like we've gone on like such a
We
massive
have.
tangent, so we should probably
Something we've
back.
sort of talked about it, something that I want to, for myself, for you, for people listening, what are there like step by step, maybe it's that intentionality that we spoke about earlier? What are some things that, you know, males or non-females can do to be intentional with mitigating this harassment, even if it's not coming from them, if they witness it? From your experience and the research that you're reading and the people that you speak to, what are some things that people can do actively to stop this or to stop this propagation?
Okay, I think there's two ways to go about this. The first is, what do you do when you see someone experiencing this?
Yeah.
Because we all know the whole bystander thing and the thing of shared responsibility. So when you're in like a big group of people, it feels like the responsibility is shared. So you're like, oh, well, I don't need to do anything because someone else is there. If you are in a gym space and you see someone looking really, it takes balls, it takes a lot of courage, but you see someone looking really uncomfortable, regardless of whether that's a woman, but unfortunately the statistic shows that it's most likely going to be a woman, or someone female presenting. They look uncomfortable. You can tell by their body language. They look uncomfortable. Step in. Distract that person. You know, it's scary, but I do that. I've gone up to a woman sat at a bus stop having an argument with her partner, and I've said, like, or she wasn't saying something. It was the guy that was like, the body language came off as aggressive, and I just went up to her and I said, hey, I just want to check that you're okay. He tried to talk to me. I said, I'm not talking to you. I'm not addressing you. I'm addressing her.
Yeah.
Are you okay? And the same thing happened. I was running with Gymshark, and we ran past this girl, pushed this boy, and 3 women stopped. 1 went to the girl, 2 went to the boy, and the 2 went to the boy and they said, are you okay? Are you okay? Because you've been pushed. And the other went to the girl and she said, you can't push people like that. I don't care what you're arguing about. You can't push people like that. And it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Yeah.
But when you tune in and you observe, you'll be surprised as to what you see. And I really wish that the people who saw what happened to me when I was running
Did something.
Because they might not have necessarily heard what they had said, but they looked at my face. They could see the tears in my eyes. They could see the panicked breathing. You can see when somebody is stressed. You can see when somebody is, you can hear my voice quivering when I talk about certain things. Like, you can just, it's scary. It is really scary to intervene. I can acknowledge that.
Yeah.
It is really scary.
Another barrier to intervening, which I wonder if you could alleviate pressure on for people, is people like guys feel like, oh, I'm also told you feel like you're the white knight and you're here to save.
Oh,
If you come in, no, fine. But if they're like, but I'm told I shouldn't interject and like impose myself because I'm trying to be like the savior in the room.
Yeah.
What would you say to that? With grace.
No. What I mean is that I say give it up, but I understand. I understand where that comes from. The same way that before the podcast started, I told you that someone who was supposed to spot me dropped me because he was scared of maybe touching me in the wrong way, whatever. And I ended up getting hurt. Fine, I understand why you feel like that. You're valid, you're living off your lived experiences. So I would be a hypocrite to just say, give it up, like I did. Like, it's a very hypocritical thing for me to say.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to, imagine that was your kid. Imagine that's your girlfriend. Would you really rather not be seen as a white knight, as a savior? Like, I don't know if I'm making sense, but it's
probably just communication, right?
It's communication. And yeah, there'll be a lot of women who turn around and say, excuse me, I've got this.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Then fine.
Fine. That's her problem.
Yeah.
That's her problem. And it sucks that women have been... This stems from patriarchy. I mean, the way that women are thinking is changing, and it stems from this fight to be seen as equals, to shift this power dynamic. That's why there's all this hyper independency, and it's great. I'm all for it. But we also need to check ourselves. I check myself all the time, and I'm like, well, I'm no longer offended by a guy opening the door for me. I'm no longer offended by like things that are seen as traditional, things that are seen as conservative. Like, I would much rather have someone interject and me not get hurt and not get essayed and not get harassed and feel safe and then deal with my hurt pride later. Because it's a pride thing. That's all it is. It's literally a pride thing. It's like if someone falls off their bike and you go to help them get up and they're like, they bat you away, it's because they feel humiliated and they feel like they couldn't protect themselves in that moment. And so that comes out of anger. But also remember, like the whole white knight thing, you're making yourself, this is going to sound really harsh, so maybe it's me not saying it correctly, but you're making yourself a victim in a situation where you're not the victim. You're concentrated on how people are going to perceive you, and you're okay with someone potentially getting hurt or being traumatized for the rest of their life
because of a possible perception.
Because of a possible perception.
Which is actually an internalization, if you think about it. It's actually how you would see it.
So,
wow.
I don't know. But this is, again, where social media comes in, because when these things are recorded, when it comes to filming in the gym, a lot of guys, I don't have a statistic for this, but a lot of guys say that they're actually scared of spotting women, like helping a woman out of a failed squat or bench or whatever, out of fear of being caught in a recording that being put online and used against them. So to all the women who are doing that, fuck you, because it's not helpful to anybody. It's not helpful for us who are already fighting a case that we feel like we're losing. And it's not helpful for guys. You shouldn't have creators like Ayanda. She spoke, I don't know if you guys know Ayanda Fitness, she's a big Gymshark athlete and I'm been a massive fan of her for years. She actually spoke on a podcast. She has brothers and she had to have a conversation with her brothers about how they need to be aware of how the way that they act in the gym, that they might think it's innocent, goes back to our intentional stuff. They might think it's innocent, but actually it might be perceived differently. And it's sad that we have to have those conversations. It's really, really sad.
That's why I think that exact thing makes someone like that chap you said not spot you, because they don't want to be perceived in a way that is not innocent. And to that point, I think why, like I said, communication is so important. Like saying to someone, you know, people scoff at this and they're like, oh God, we go too far with being sensitive. But there's nothing wrong with saying, do you mind if I touch you to spot you? There's nothing wrong with that. Then it's covering.
Mate, I'd rather him put his hand on my ass than have a sprained elbow. I have, you know, it's like...
What's wrong with asking and saying?
What's wrong with asking? That's all it is people are scared because people are now scared of having the conversation about consent because they're also scared that if they say consent, they imply something. It doesn't. Consent goes like about everything and anything. And I mean, this goes back to education, which I know is something that you wanted to talk about. Is like education and like the lack of education and taboos and all of this stuff.
On that, I think we've spent a lot of time talking about what males can do differently. What we both really wanted to make sure we can convey in this, because we don't have the ability to convey this especially, is how can we empower women or non-males, through what you have done, to, if you're feeling intimidated, these are the steps that, you know, I've taken, or this is what I have seen has helped my peers, those sorts of things that we can share here for non-males or, you know, female presenting individuals who feel intimidated, scared, like they can't approach, like they should never be able to. What are there some sort of fundamental steps that might seem obvious but probably definitely aren't obvious?
Girlies, educate yourselves. The first thing I'm going to say is, if you have a female body, educate yourself about your female body. Read
listen to podcasts, listen to TikToks, because there's a lot of information out there that we don't know, that I didn't know, like in sports, but in running. Did you know that having a sports bar that fits you correctly can improve your performance by up to 7%?
Nope.
Wow.
I didn't know that. So shout out to Shock Absorber for educating me.
Nice.
But stuff like that. And then this is a really interesting statistic. So a study was done in the US across the 5. We all know collegiate sport in the US is enormous. So this is the US, not the UK, but I think it still applies to the UK. A study was done across the 5 like biggest colleges, sporting colleges in the US. And it showed that something like, it was a really, really, really small number. It was like 3% or something. And feel free to cut this out in case I'm getting it wrong,
No, that's
or
fine.
I'll send you the study. I have it written down on my phone. That only like 2% of all sports coaches and athletes across all sporting disciplines felt like the way that they were training their female athletes was tailored to their significant different anatomical needs than the male counterparts.
Wow. 2 or 3%.
2 or
It doesn't surprise
3%.
me.
Even if it's 20% and I'm just missing a 0, that's still very shockingly. You think about at what level those athletes are competing.
Yeah.
That's a massive difference,
Yeah.
because there's study after and only 4%, by the way, of all sports science has been conducted exclusively on women.
This is exactly what I was going to say to your point. I couldn't say in sports science, but in psychology, up until recent decades, all research, all medical definitions, all the DSM up until recently was all based on male diagnostic criteria, how it presented, how the symptoms presents in males. I'm assume, but I'm glad you've raised it, that this is definitely applicable to.
I mean, in the US,
research
women
as
didn't
well.
have to be included in medical studies until 1971.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that sports science is the same. Did you know that women in sports like football and stuff, women are up to 8% more likely to tear their ACL?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And as someone who plays a contact sport, that bites.
Yeah.
That bites. And you know that the whole ratio of with your muscles, you have like different types of muscle fibers, and there's like type 1, type 2 in really simple terms. And the difference between like you being males and me being biologically female, our composition ratio of our muscles is different. That's why I went to when I went to Love Trails this year, I listened to a really, really interesting talk that was like, from an anatomical perspective, women are actually, you want to talk about women being built for sport, women are actually built for endurance sport more than men are. Simply boiling down to like the muscle fibers, because the 2 muscle fibers, one is built more for like endurance and recovers better over longer distances, and one is more like explosivity.
Yeah.
So it's like, you need to educate yourself, which is why I mentioned earlier the book, The Female Body Bible, because regardless of, they say this in the preface of the book, they say regardless of how you identify from a gender perspective, if you have female anatomy, you need to know what's going on. We don't get taught this in school enough. Women don't get taught about the side effects women don't get taught about the side effects of the hormone contraceptive pill on you as an athlete. They don't talk about all of these things. We don't talk about how our anatomy impacts our sport. And what's worse is the coaches and the PTs that we put our trust in don't know about it either.
I was going to say something that I see to be very refreshing. Unfortunately, she's female, so it's less refreshing, because it would be more refreshing if it was from a male PT. But Vicky Phillips, I'm not sure if you know her. Yes, she does a lot. She's a PT for Gymshark, and a lot of her content is about educating around the menstrual cycle and training around the menstrual cycle, because of course we don't know anywhere near enough. But research also doesn't know enough about how your menstrual cycle completely massively impacts your training abilities, strength, all of those things.
I mean, I posted a video about this, and I did a lot of research into it, and it's true. And what's worse is that it is so personal. Like, that's the hardest part. That's like about the whole we can't police everyone's opinions. There's literally no
one trend that can fit when it comes to your period. So what works for one person won't work for another person, won't work for another person. That's why there's so many different variations of the contraceptive pill, because side effects in like they, you know, you look at paracetamol is the same no matter what brand you buy it from. It's paracetamol.
Yeah.
But you look at things like that, you know, that control your hormones, and there is no there is no one size fits all. And let me remind you, our hormonal cycle is on average between 26 to 32 days. And we experience what our male counterparts experience in 24 hours.
It's a
over
24-hour
month.
cycle, isn't
Yeah.
it? That
So you
difference
guys, men
alone.
have a 24-hour hormonal cycle, whereas women have a 28-day to 32-day cycle. So we feel what a lot of men feel, obviously, except with way more estrogen and progesterone, but magnified.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so different, and it's learning to be in tune with your body, I think it all really just goes down to education, and then that's like more what women can do for themselves. And I think there's a lot of, you know, really damaging myths. There's a lot of, a shocking stat for you is 2 in 5 women avoid the gym because it makes them uncomfortable. And in the UK, over 1 million girls who considered themselves sporty stopped playing after primary school around 11 years of age out of fear of being judged, the lack of confidence, or their body image.
So on those things, from a more sort of well-being, psychological, motivational perspective, are there tips or advice that you have that have worked for you in terms of, you know, whether it's things that again might seem obvious but aren't to everyone, about like not care, like not, I don't mean to simplify it like that, because it's not as simple as not caring what people think about you, but whether it's community finding, all of those things.
Yeah, 100%. Community is a massive thing. I mean, I find community is a massive thing, and like I said, I go to a mixed gym very happily. I go to mixed gym. I've never ever made use of women's only hours. I've never really felt the need to go specifically to women's only communities. But if you want to do it, do not fear being judged for the fact that you only go to the gym during women's only hours. Or, you know, there's incredible gyms all across London, all across the country, but across London as well, in particular for people who are queer, who feel like they don't necessarily have their own space. There's amazing places like Strong Heart. I don't know where it is, but I've been to it and it's really great. It's like a cardio hit. They do a lot of strong women classes. They got me to flip a tire for the first time in my life.
Nice.
It's great. It's women's only, but it's queer inclusive. So you don't need to be cis. Yeah, you don't need to be cis, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I was trying to work out how to say it. Like, it's a women's only environment where you can focus on doing and trying these crazy big things that maybe you don't feel comfortable trying because you think that you aren't strong enough or whatever. I mean, you look at women's only run clubs. There's so many in London. I mean, shout out to if you know who Jenny Mannion is, Runners and Stunners. I mean, she is incredible. What she's done for the female running community is incredible. A lot of women think that they can't run because they're slow or because they are self-conscious of being slow. You can do it, babe. Just join a community. Same if you think it's more, you feel like maybe your religion is a barrier. I know a lot of Muslim women who don't feel comfortable running in mixed communities. There are beautiful communities like Soul Striders. They are a women's only run club. And a lot of the lovely, lovely girls that go to that run club are Muslims, are hijabis. So, you know, check them out. It's all about finding your community. I think that's the biggest thing that helps is finding your community. So yeah, these girls run. I mean, This Girl Can is an incredible movement and they have a lot of resources about it. I think just don't be afraid to zoom in on those specific communities, because I think a lot of women feel like, if I go to a women's only thing, that means that I'm this or that means that I'm that. If that's what makes you comfortable, babe, do it. It's
Yeah.
all about being comfortable.
Mm.
That's all it is. You need to put yourself first.
Yeah.
You stop caring about the perception of others.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many times someone tells you, you go to the gym, no one's looking at you. It doesn't matter. You're always going to be thinking about if other people are looking at you. Do shy workouts. There's plenty of girls, plenty of people who post on Instagram and TikTok who do dumbbell only workouts for the shy girls. You know, we all start somewhere. If you want to wear all black,
What does
wear
that
all
mean
black.
for someone that doesn't know a shy workout?
Shy girl workout is basically if you're new to the gym and you don't know what you're doing and you don't want to jump from machine to machine, you don't want to deal with maybe the fear of trying a new machine, you can pick up a pair of dumbbells and you can go and hide yourself in the corner of the gym, in the studio, wherever, and you can do your whole workout
From there.
That's really helpful.
with a pair of dumbbells.
That's very helpful.
And let me say, that just as effective
Yeah.
as jumping from machine to machine. It doesn't have to be loud. You don't have to be grunting. You don't have to be lifting 4 times your body weight to be making progress in the gym. It's about sport goes down to, it's about how it makes you feel. I literally have it written down. If I had to squash one myth, it's that sports is, well, I guess the myth is sports is only for performance or appearance. Not true.
No.
Sports is about what you make, is how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And I think that I've actually improved. My performance has improved significantly now that I just do sports that I love.
Yeah.
Just listen to your body, what it's saying.
Yeah,
what does it enjoy? Lean
exactly.
into that. And then you'll find that you'll succeed in those sort of sports.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The second I let go of that myth myself internally, it became a whole world of enjoyment for me as
Yeah.
opposed to a necessity or something that I just had to do.
Exactly.
Um,
I just want to talk about running because you guys are big runners.
Yeah.
Well, ASICS did a fitness gender gap study, and it showed that 40% of the women in their study see lack of safe spaces as a barrier to fitness.
Wow.
Yes.
that was going to be one of my sort of roundup questions is we've spoken more about sort of motivational things or finding community or what, non-presenting females can do. Yeah. What do you feel like you'd be best placed to speak about in terms of actual fundamental safety advice as well, or is that not something you necessarily want to go into?
I will say leaders in the fitness space, especially for people who want to start run clubs, people who lead run clubs, people who lead any sort of physical activity, maybe that's outside or more public. Please do a webinar, attend a course. There are free courses that have been run by incredible people. I mean, I don't know if you know who Harriet Wright is, but she's like a really big, or I see her as a really big women's advocate. And she works with These Girls Run.
Yes.
And I think she works with this girl Can as well, but all about run safety because, like I said, the statistics showed that women especially find running really, really scary. And this goes down to privilege because I see men running outside in the evening, at night, in shorts and a t-shirt, and I'm like, damn, I can't do that without the fear of getting stuffed in a car. So what I would say is now it's winter, right? Forget summer. Summer's a whole different conversation. It's winter. Winter equals darkness equals safety issue. And here's another statistic. 72% of women change their behavior when exercising during winter.
Yep.
72%. That's a 2024 study by this girl Can.
My own, I don't know if you know, but I'm collecting data for my own study at the moment on run clubs and the importance of run clubs with the University of Hertfordshire, soon to be published. And the female participants I've interviewed have not all of them, I can't say all of them, but a common theme that is emerging is fundamental safety.
Yes.
I can't say verbatim here because I don't have them, but quotes that, to paraphrase, that are, I will not run on my own at night time.
Yeah.
I I will fundamentally not do it because I fundamentally risk my life doing so.
Yeah.
And I'm not being dramatic. That is literally what they've said.
No, it's true.
So I'm seeing it firsthand in this research.
I agree with
This
it.
is the research and mine's looking at why run clubs are important, and it goes hand in hand. Run clubs aren't just a way to connect as they are for us. They're not just a way to find friends or whatever. They're a way to be able to do something you love, but
In
not
safety.
fear your life.
Yeah.
When you actually think about that as an actual concept, I don't mean to sound like, well, that's because I don't have to think about that, and I acknowledge I don't have to think about that. It's horrible.
But
It's sad.
it's not enough for guys just to be like, well, it's sad that it happens. We have to be actively listening to that, hearing that it happens, and then being intentional with how we go about finding spaces or creating spaces where that's okay, and that keeps it
Yeah.
going.
You
right?
know what's even sadder is in wintertime, you see a lot of these women-only run clubs putting up posts being like, guys, please be careful in getting to the run club
Yeah.
by yourself, traveling by yourself at what, 6 p.m. It's not even the evening, but it's dark. So they stopped running in parks. They stopped running, only run in well-lit areas.
Mm.
And then the idea of wearing shorts, for example, and going for a run, forget the cold. I run in shorts when it's -2 degrees because that's how my body regulates heat. But then to think that actually the fact that I'm wearing shorts could be the difference of whether or not I get assaulted by some crazy person who thinks that that's okay is scary. And it sounds almost absurd when you say it out loud. Like, I can admit that it sounds almost absurd and it sounds paranoid, but it's not, because
It's not paranoid because
I've experienced that. I've experienced, like I said, walking home from rugby and getting harassed for the fact that I'm in my rugby kit. And the biggest thing that scares me about the fact that rugby is a winter sport is getting to practice in the evening by myself. And it's really sad that has to be something that we think about. And I think as run leaders, be aware of the fact that, I don't know if you've noticed it with previous years, but maybe this year, make a point to observe how your female to male runner ratio decreases during the winter season. And it might help to acknowledge that and say, as a run club, we acknowledge that the nighttime and wintertime can be scary.
Yeah.
And we want you to feel like you can always come to us, and we want you to feel that this is a safe space. I don't know if you guys have already done something like that to
Well,
acknowledge it,
We'll always
but
be doing more.
It didn't happen. I don't mean this to be like, oh, I'm amazing, but because it was brought to me, I didn't volunteer, I didn't ask for it, but 2 female runners in the club were like, the route that we're currently on, we don't feel safe. Is there something we can? And obviously immediately, I didn't personally think anything of it. And it just showed that obviously that was my privilege to not have to.
Yeah.
I immediately changed the route to being lit. I bought the head torches for people to be able to use all those things.
Yeah.
Which I'm not being like, oh wow, I did that. That was amazing.
no,
but
but
like, I in the moment was like, that's something I wish I'd have realized that before.
But the
Or I
fact that
wish I'd
you
have-
acted on it without almost kicking up a fuss or asking for them to provide a solution. This is what a lot of people do. And I understand the mindset behind it, is like, when as women or non-males we address a problem, they say, well, what would you want us to do differently? What do you want us to change? And I understand that the point of that is to give us the voice, which is great. So I'm not saying stop doing that. Don't stop doing that. Don't stop asking women and non-males what we need and what can make us feel safer. But do also realize that you have a brain of your own. You do have a brain of your own.
You have conscious choice.
You have conscious choice.
Yeah.
If you're over 25, your prefrontal cortex
fully developed.
is supposed to be fully developed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not everyone will get that, but whatever. Take a step back and reflect. Use every opportunity. I have this as a rule for my life. Use every opportunity as an opportunity to reflect and grow.
To learn, yeah.
And to learn.
Completely.
And
That's what we're here for.
to check yourself, check your privilege.
Yeah.
So, it's like that. And think about where you are. And that reminds me of something where someone said to me, this guy was like, when I walk down the street at night or when it's dark,
and I'm walking behind a woman, I now just like subconsciously cross the street to walk on the other side. And I'm like, A, it's sad that you have to do that, but B, thank you. Because
Being aware
it's
enough.
you're passively doing something that's going to make someone feel safer without kicking up a fuss, without being like, well, why should I have to do that? Because I know that I'm not going to hurt
It's
her.
not an attack on your identity or your. It costs me nothing or that person nothing to just cross the road to make that
Exactly.
person feel a whole world safer.
It's not an awareness on yourself, it's
Yeah.
awareness of the issue that is at play, and then, you know, acting in accordance with that.
There we
That's
go.
the thing. It comes from empathy as well. Like, it doesn't have to affect me as an individual to know that it affects someone or to understand that it affects someone else. And therefore, if it does, why would I not want to make them feel more happy, more comfortable,
exactly.
more...
Especially if it doesn't impact you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, if there's a big takeaway, it's that remind yourself that winter is dark and it's scary to women. So just keep that in the back of your mind. If you're someone that runs, if you're a guy that runs and you have female friends that are runners who live near you, offer to run with them. Say, why don't we go for a run together?
Yeah.
They'll probably say yes. Like, they'll probably say yes. They'll probably be like, oh, you know, we don't even have to meet at your house. Like, let's meet down the street, but let's go for 5K together, because the winter training blocks are some of the hardest ones for women, because we all have jobs.
Yeah.
But you finish work
When it's dark.
and it's dark and you're like, shit, now I have to run 35 kilometers in the dark. And 35
Hours
kilometers
outside.
is a long way. As we all know, it's a long way to run. So even having someone for part of that can help you, and it can make the world of difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the interest of linking to boosting moods, well-being, and what we're here to do. Obviously, we've covered a lot of heavy things there, which we needed to do and is important to do.
Yes.
Are there, in the spirit of that, are there any sort of improvements or things that you're seeing in this area that are like, this is a really epic experience I've had in this, or this is really cool that I've seen this improvement happen over the course of since you were 15 in this sort of domain?
Well, I love the allies. I love the allies. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, I mean, I love rugby. I'm not like, everybody knows this about me. And the Rugby World Cup, the fact that so many men are getting into it and getting passionate about it and tuning in and going and watching matches and supporting it. Especially, this goes back to the whole idea of like, you can't enjoy something, or you can't talk to someone if you don't find them attractive. Like, I think a lot of guys find rugby disinteresting because they just associate rugby with like butch lesbians. So they're like, well, why would I support that since I've got nothing to gain from it?
We don't have time to unpack that, but that in itself as a concept is
obviously
insane.
Ludicrous.
I know.
But anyway,
but
sorry.
It's its own conversation, which is why I didn't go off on a tangent about it before. Trust me, I would. But I see less and less of that, and I love it. And I love, you know what I love? I love it when men are not ashamed to express how impressed they are by their female counterparts excelling at what they're doing. Fitness or otherwise, but in fitness.
Any domain.
Any domain, when you see, I went to the Gymshark lift event and there were so many insanely strong women lifting insane amounts of weight, insane women. I mean, Charlie and Anna, these two amazing Cali content creators doing unimaginable, it's like gravity doesn't exist to them, doing unimaginable calisthenics things, and the guys in the background being like, jaws on the floor. Yes, express that. Like, you shouldn't be scared to express that you think that that's insane. And also, it's not a competition, so you shouldn't feel ashamed either that you can't do that. That's okay.
It's transcending. I mean, ideally, one day we will reach this point. It's transcending the whole gender role, and it's that person is doing that.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to come down to whether they're male, female,
exactly.
whatever they identify as. It's a person doing well in their domain. As a person, I'm going to celebrate that. Bottom line.
I'm hearing less and less of that's impressive for a girl, and hearing more and more of that's impressive. That's the narrative we want. I don't want to be told that it's cool that I play rugby as a girl. If I'm the first person that you've met, I've been told this by a few guys. They're like, I've never met a girl who plays rugby before. And like, that's cool. You can point that out to me. I don't have an issue with that. I love to be the first.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm glad that I've changed that narrative for you and pointed out to you that women can also play rugby. That's great. Admit that. But don't tell me that it's impressive
Because you're a girl.
because I'm a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
You
a
know.
difference. Like, that's impressive because that's impressive, not that's impressive because you're a girl.
Yeah.
It just, as you mentioned, it just implies everything that, you know, we've been taught to learn or that society has taught on us.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to do that. You're
Exactly.
another. You're not.
Yeah,
You're not the
exactly.
baseline, which is male
To
default.
learn that and look
Exactly.
inwards.
Yeah.
Yes. And actually, biologically, women are the baseline.
There we go.
You're the
Just-
creators.
Just saying, just saying,
Yeah.
just saying.
There we go.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you for sharing those exciting things.
I've learned so much there. I've been quite quiet, but that's because I've just been in awe and just listening and taking it all in. That's why I've just been listening. It's fantastic.
Learning a lot.
Hopefully, you guys have also learned so much as well.
For sure.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
I've verbalized everything somewhat coherently.
Yeah,
Okay.
second part coming in then. Yeah,
Yeah.
Round two, we've got lots to unpack.
100%. Yes. Well, in the nature of what we always do, we were saying this before. For well-being, we always finalize this with our weekly mood boosts. With what sort of boosts our mood. Whilst you're maybe thinking of what's boosted your mood recently, it can be anything small or grand. It can be that you woke up and made your bed, for
Yeah.
instance. So, Marcus,
Yeah.
I
So
ask you.
my mood boost this week is my mum / her chickens. My mum has been through she's been through a lot the last couple of years, and she's just been doing a lot of work to look after herself and things. And one little thing that I don't even know if it's a intentional thing, but inadvertently that she's sort of nurturing for herself, but also just nurturing into something. She rescued 2 young chickens, and she's like nurturing them, looking after them, and yeah, it's been really cool seeing that. And because they were young, they didn't lay eggs. And she sent a video in the family group chat yesterday, really excited that one of them's laid her first eggs.
Jennifer Lopez,
Jennifer
come on.
Lopez, come
Is that the
through.
chicken
Yeah.
Jennifer
It is.
Lopez.
And Margaret Hatcher.
Oh, it might be Margaret.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
can't
that's it.
remember. Margaret Hatcher or Jennifer Lopez. I'm not sure which one. But anyway, laid her first eggs, and Mum was really excited about it. So yeah,
That's
that
brilliant.
was my mood boost. So
That's
shout out to
so
Mum and the hens.
Yeah, wonderful stuff.
Oh, I
Charlie?
know.
My one, 2 people from the run club, George and Owen. They ran their first half marathon recently.
The big half.
The big half
Yep.
back in London. So that was huge for them. Hearing and just seeing their smiles on their faces, they were giddy with excitement seeing it. So
They're such lovely
boosted
people.
my mood. They are lovely,
people.
lovely people.
That's
So
incredible.
hearing that sort of stuff is great.
Maria, what's boosted your mood?
What has boosted your
Or
mood?
who's boosted your mood?
I have such a long list.
That's great.
I think one of the things is definitely at rugby practice last week, I got to demo, well, I was volunteered, by which I mean everybody stepped back and I was standing there and I didn't step back, to demo all the tackling. And after each hit, the whole team just cheered.
Oh,
And I was like,
That's so cool.
oh my God, do you think I am oh and like, yeah, just that community of, I was, prepping myself to absolutely body Elsie onto these mats. And one of my teammates just going, come on, baby. And that really left me feeling
really good.
really good. And then
Nice.
to come home and there's like good food on the table for me. Oh my
Unreal.
God,
Sublime.
guys.
What an evening. What
Yeah,
an
what an
evening.
evening.
Good for
Boosted
you.
your mood.
Good for you.
Mood boost.
I'm glad.
Boosted.
Very glad.
Exactly.
Okay, well, thank you for that
Thank you
episode.
very
It was
much.
sublime, and
Yeah.
yeah, we've got so much to take away from that.
Mhm.
As the listeners, I hope that was extremely informative for you. Our intention was never to, as we all agree here, to shame, to blame, to
Yes,
nothing. We just
none of
wanted to provide information,
Inform.
Start the
inform,
conversation.
empowerment, and start a conversation, if not continue a conversation. That's very important, and just reflecting people's experiences. So thank you for sharing all of that. I'm sure people, if they don't already know you, would love to find out where they can find you. So where is best to find you?
I am on Instagram and TikTok. My Instagram handle is Motivate with Maria, and my TikTok handle is Motivate with Maria.bts, as in behind the scenes.
Nice.
Very nice.
Lovely job.
Yeah, but I mainly post on Instagram, and I want to say
to anybody listening, whether that's male, female, anywhere in between, my inbox is always open to have this conversation. There's a link to my email address if you rather email me. I love having these kinds of conversations. If you need advice in getting into the fitness space, coming back to the fitness space post traumatic experience, if you want to talk about how best to be an ally or what you can do, or maybe you're reflecting on something and thinking, oh shit, what if I did make that person feel uncomfortable? Talk to me about it. There's no shame. We're all learning.
Exactly. Thank you very
Amazing.
much.
Thank you very
Any
much.
final reflections before we close?
Gotta love people, man.
Sorry to put you on the
Love
spot
it.
there.
Gotta love people.
Ditto.
Community and
Peace
connection.
and love.
Peace and
Read it
love.
and weep.
Peace and love.
Okay,
I
well,
love
do you
that.
two want to do some ASMR while I turn off the...
Thank you very much.